Hello and welcome. Today we've got Michael Jaco, former CIA and Marine, and we will be discussing Trump, the audits, the rally, any comms that's going on, the military, the reveal, like Michael Jaco likes to call it. Now, just before we begin, you can subscribe to our Telegram channels and to nicholasfeniarmin.com for my free email updates. And if you're watching this for the first time on YouTube, I will leave the link below in the description for the full interview. Michael, thank you for joining me. And I just want to say a very big happy birthday to you. But I don't want to ask you how old you are because, it's a bit rude. But, I hope you have a lovely, lovely day. Have you got anything interesting planned?
Maybe a massage later. I got this one gym I go to. They got this like cryo room where you go in. It's like super, super cold. So I probably do that and then do a super nice dinner tonight. So it'll be good.
Sounds like fun. So this past weekend, we've had the audits and then we've had the rally. Trump didn't really mention much about the audits. And I'm figuring that that's because it's to do with many legalities that are ongoing. What do you think the audit was all about? And why were we let down in some way? Where they were trying to say, Biden actually won this, or they were trying to favor the other side. What do you make out of this past weekend with the whole audit situation?
Oh, that's a good question because a lot of people were misinformed about what actually happened there. I listened to the complete audit. It was a little over 3 hours. They revealed incredible amounts of information. They have on video people deleting files. Just before they were supposed to turn them over. So tons of files, hundreds of thousands of files that were deleted. Definitely someone will be held accountable for that. So they went through all of the IT information, being someone that, former, Navy SEAL and CIA. I basically was involved in a lot of information technology stuff. Gathering information for operations and, about, certain people we might have to go get and take out. But when I listened to that, I was amazed at how much they had gone in and destroyed files. They had gone in and completely against the law. A lot of the stuff they did. No accountability. They were supposed to reboot stuff, and they didn't do it for like a year, just on and on and on. And then the numbers are actually in the 50,000 or more, where there are lots of votes that should have gone to Trump that didn't. So Biden won by I think around 10,000, and that's just one thing that they went after as far as looking at votes. They could have gone in. They could have brought up a lot more. But they were like, we have enough here. We don't want to stretch this out. We don't make this longer. They have hundreds of thousands of votes that probably went to Trump, but they're just going to focus on this 50,000 plus. So, of course, the mainstream media, playing their part, said that, nothing happened here. They're just showing that Biden actually won by more. Now, Trump came out and said that they were lying. If you listen to that audit, that they're lying. If you listen to Trump like I did at his rally, where he brought up all the numbers, and he also brought up numbers there in Georgia where he did the rally, where they lied. So there's a lot of people out there at the very top, basically governors, people that ran the polls, ran the election process. There will be a lot of people that will go to prison, absolutely go to prison over this. And those are the first two states that they're looking at right now. I see those as two dominoes that are going to fall. Now, I think it wasn't maybe the GOP head there in Arizona. She came out and did a video where not a lot of people have seen that, but they have 41 different states right now that are saying that they need to do audits. 41. She says that every state needs to do audits. And I've been saying that for a long time. So now it's starting to come out of the bag. So they're going to continue to play their little game where they're going to say, oh, there's nothing here, but there's definitely something there. just like there always has been. And there's been people that have been, bringing up information, bringing up, discrepancies, bringing up illegal activities, but it's been brushed under the rug. They had something like 117 lawyers at one time that were working to stop that audit. So there's a massive, resistance that's going forward. The Department of Justice, threatened Arizona to stop their audit. On and on. Joe Biden came out and said that they should stop. You name it. There's been massive amounts of pushback on that. So for them to come out and actually reveal that there's massive amounts of fraud that happened there, if you do a little bit of a research, you'll start to see it. It's hard to find it because they're burying this stuff, But like I said, I listened to it. I did the research. I've been doing the research all along. I used to live in Arizona. I used to live in Sedona, Arizona. So I'm, very familiar with that area. So yeah, it's done. It's basically a reveal, a massive reveal. And now we're going to start to see the wheels of justice start to grind these people up. So it's coming.
Absolutely. Now, we know that Trump won the state of Texas, and he still wants a recount for that state too, which means to me and many others that this is because he didn't just win the state of Texas, but he won much, much more than what they say he did for the state of Texas. What do you think that would look like if we were to see the, audits, for the audits to be taking place for states that President Trump has won as well?
I think it would be massive numbers. I mean, they've already started to reveal some of these numbers, and they're staggering, hundreds and hundreds of thousands just in certain counties. So that's not including the rest of the counties that are in a state, which can number, in the dozens upon dozens. I think there's, well over 1,000 counties throughout the United States. So if every county, I really believe if every county did an audit, they would find discrepancies, and not only in the presidential race, but also in Senate races, in congressional races, in mayor races, in governor races. So I think we're going to find, and, I would be all on Joe Biden's side right now if I saw that there was an election steal by, Trump. I just want a fair election. That's what all Americans should want. Not that one party won and we should we're fighting for our party, whatever. I don't have a party. I've never had a party. I have always voted for who I thought was going to be the best for America, who loved America, who wanted to make America great, who wanted to make, help the American people. So we're not seeing that right now with this current administration. We're definitely seeing that these guys are not for the American people at all in everything they do. So it's very obvious, that these guys came in and stole it. I think as these states come in and reveal that their state was, massive fraud, and that if fraud was overturned, that, President Trump would win. And I think that at some point, I just heard this GOP heavyweight in Arizona, she came out and said that once we find enough states that will flip the presidential election, that Congress needs to get together and they need to re-vote on this. So we're going to see this thing turn around at some point. It's just a matter of time. The clock is ticking. Will these people that have control of America right now have enough time to destroy America? They come very close just in 6, 7, 8 months they've been there. So it's I don't think that America can last another 8 months with these guys. There's no way. They're destroy. They're usually they talk about how there's been incredible philosophers in the past that were presidents and so forth. They talk about how in just one generation, this was something that Reagan said. He said that America could be lost within one generation. We're seeing that America can be lost in almost 1 year. So this is staggering how quickly these guys are destroying America.
Absolutely. So how many people do you think, or what's the severity of deaths that you think took place by the Democrats to keep the election results from coming out to the public?
The number of what?
What do you think of the severity of deaths that the Democrats have apparently they've killed many people, according to Sidney Powell, for keeping the audits and the elections from coming out to the public.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way they do business. There's probably been massive numbers of deaths. This is something that goes on in every. I mean, look at what they did with our president, John F. Kennedy. John F. Kennedy had his head blown off in front of the whole world. These guys have incredible amounts of power, so they can come in and if you do look at the Warren report, Warren, who is a judge, retired judge, says, I don't want to do that, because they came and did a commission to research and find out, just who was involved in the Kennedy assassination. He's like, I don't want to do that. And they're like, no, you got to do it. So he did it. He died. So, wow. There are over 100 people that are, during that investigation that died. And we're also seeing from other investigators that have looked at how many people were involved in the shooting of that day. And there were many different teams, not just one lone gunman, which is ridiculous. If you go there and you see the road and you see the angles and stuff like that, there's no way that Jack Root, he was shot, from the book depository. So I think that, eventually when all this gets revealed that, Bush Sr. Was seen there in a suit during that time frame. So, he looks like he was involved. He looks like he was in charge of that. And like I said, there's probably about a dozen teams that were involved in different positions to shoot. Almost every one of those people that were involved in that operation were all suicided or killed or murdered. So hardly anyone left. And I remember someone actually talked to one of them. He had been MK Mind Ultra'd, and this woman basically uncovered that he was part of that, and she unlocked a lot of stuff that had been deep into it. And he just revealed unbelievable information that no way that he could have known the things that he knew unless he had been involved. So this stuff goes on. There's definitely people that are being eliminated right now that know that, there's been election steal. And I think that as we go forward, we're probably going to see a lot more deaths, because people that were told to, do certain functions, delete files and so forth, they're going to have a lot of people. There's a lot of people right now are having mysterious deaths right now. So that's what these guys do. They, pay people big money, or they're part of their program. And these people that are part of their program think they're going to get preferential treatment because they're with the guys that are really in charge. They get eliminated all the time. Even the people at the top, of these groups get eliminated, because we're definitely seeing that Joe Biden that's not really Joe Biden. Even at this last rally that Trump did, is just, who is that guy playing Joe Biden? So he keeps saying that over and over again. And if you look at Joe Biden, in the past, and you look at these different characters that play his role now, you see there's definitely differences in several. I think there's 3, maybe 4 different Bidens that are playing, that role right now. So I think the real Biden is gone. I think they pulled him out. And he's already paid the man. So we're going to see, over time, this be revealed. It takes time. There's lots of stuff. I think a lot of these guys are probably hiding out too. There's probably a deep underground military base somewhere that we don't know about yet, that some of these guys are hanging out in, waiting, hoping, things will turn around like they have in the past. And then they get to come back out and play, their nasty game again. So there's definitely probably some of that. I want to say, I think it's definite. I could probably, remote view where they're at, somewhere in New Zealand. But, who am I? People look at me, it's like, how would you know that? So that would be my best guess. How about that?
Right. Interesting. Very, very interesting information. Mm-hmm. Now, you say that the real Biden's gone. We all know that from his characteristics, his personality, from his earlobe to even his body language. Now, when you say that there are 4 doubles, which I believe, whether they're clones, lookalikes, I don't know. Okay.
Right.
But nothing surprises me because technology has been so far suppressed from us. So nothing surprises me. I'm open to it. Do you think that these four lookalikes of Biden are working? Were they created and used as an advantage for the deep state or for Trump and the white hats?
I think there's both. I think there's one guy. One guy is very clever and speaks very well. I think the deep state brings him out when they need something really to be pushed. And then I think they have this goofy guy that, kind of falls around and stumbles around and can't remember anything. That's one of the white hats. And then I think there's another one in there the white hats use. So yeah, the deep state probably have one or two guys that they still keep parading out there at certain key times, but they have to be careful because, there's probably teams that, look for this kind of stuff and would snatch somebody out that's posing as that. So that's the big, problem with this takedown. A lot of people think, why hasn't this happened yet? Mm-hmm. If you look at, when they created the atomic bomb, they did that in an area in the mountains in Tennessee. There were thousands and thousands of people involved in that from the local communities that would come and go to work every day. And it was a top secret organization. No one knew about it and didn't know about it for many years after the atomic bomb. So there's definitely programs out there. I've been involved in a lot of them that you will not hear about probably ever. And then there's some that, at some point, they release the information on. So when you see these guys like, the black hat Biden, the white hat Biden, you're like, how can they pull this off? Well, like we're just talking about, top secret and above, like I've been involved in, I've been involved in stuff like this. I've posed as people quite often. So I know this stuff happens, and it's not a stretch for someone that's done it like myself and has been around other people that are doing it to see someone like that and go, yeah, that's definitely somebody playing that part, or like what you're saying, maybe there's some kind of clone stuff that's going on here. So I think that stuff gets revealed at some point. How many people are like that? I've already seen, I think Nancy Pelosi's gone. I think Joe Biden obviously is gone. Obama's gone. We haven't seen Obama's big Mike buddy for a while. And when we do, that's definitely not him, her, whatever. So there's a lot of people that have disappeared and just gone off the radar, and people have forgotten them. We can start. I should do a show where I just start bringing up all these names, and people are like, "Oh yeah, I haven't seen him," and all that kind. And then we look at their social media, and it's like, "Oh, they had millions of people that were on their social media, and they haven't done any social media in a year." Yeah, so there's definitely people that are either hiding out or have been taken away. So that's both sides of this going on.
So was there a time ever when you was in the, CIA or Marine where you came across the clone centers?
No, not me personally. But like you say, technology, I've seen technology that's unbelievably advanced. The stealth aircraft that we just happened to see that was used in the Obama raid. And the only reason why we even saw that is because they didn't realize when they blew that helicopter up that that had crashed, they didn't realize the tail had fallen over on the other side of the wall. Or if they did realize it, they just said, just leave it, let's get out of here. But for whatever reason, we saw that was a stealth helicopter. And everybody's like, whoa, stealth, they got that technology? Yeah, get that technology, had that technology for a long time, and they got it on a lot of other different stuff. I'll just leave it at that. So that's just one thing that people have been involved to and allowed to see, like the B-1 bomber, like the, stealth fighter, all those different aircraft that were very, very high tech, that they revealed at some point we knew that they were around for a long time. We worked with those aircraft. I've worked with aircraft that are way far more advanced than anything that's out there right now. Mm-hmm. So we're dumb to think that, this technology doesn't exist. And, I think that those of us that are not misinformed and don't follow the mainstream media, can see that there's lots of anomalies out there that kind of lead us to believe or understand that, yeah, this information, cloning, that type of stuff. They cloned Dolly the sheep, many years ago, and they said that we're going to stop there. We just wanted to see if we could do that, and like, that's a good one, guys. So we know you don't stop, and how long ago was that? 20, 30 years ago. So it's very advanced now. There was even some kind of a clinic in Canada that said that they would clone people and were cloning people. So, and then they were cloning people down, I think, in the Bahamas or something like that, because they started to get a little flack there in Canada. But that was like a decade or so ago. So, I mean, you gotta know that this technology is far more advanced than what we're seeing right now. So, yeah, there's people walk around as clones.
Absolutely. So, what do you say? How do you begin to explain about cloning centers when, somebody wants somebody who's very, very asleep, and say you've met a mutual friend one night and they ask you crazy stuff or something. I mean, how do you explain it to them, to someone who's so asleep, about clones?
Well, there's already people are cloning their dogs. So they know that dogs only have a certain lifespan, and they want to have that dog. Of course, they don't get, probably, who knows, maybe that soul of that dog, flips into the next body or whatever. But and a lot of people have said that, they know that their pets have come back. And I agree with that. I think that's something that happens. So you can talk to people about pets, and they get that. But the pets being cloned, that's out in the open. You can go look that up. And, if you want to pay for that service, I think it's like $10,000 the last I looked, if you want your pet cloned. So, I mean, if you got the money, how much would it be to clone a human? A couple $100,000,
Absolutely.
$1 million, whatever. If you get the money, it's gonna be done.
And when you're as evil as the elites who, torture children, sadly, and they hurt our children, and they want to control this world, when there's a piece of technology like this available, I mean, they could be cloning themselves with Joe Biden. And could they even move their consciousness from the old body to the new body if they wanted to live a new life? For an example, the Queen, let's say, let's pretend that she's on her way out. I mean, she could be dead, who knows? But let's say she's on her way out and she's dying, and she says, actually, I want to clone, and I want to be a boy, and I'm going to move my consciousness into this 18-year-old, and I get to start a whole life again, but I haven't died, and I get to continue with this globalist agenda. Do you think that's very possible?
Yeah, I think that's possible. We kind of saw that in the movie. What was it movie where they had the they're like off world, and they had this one guy who was a Marine, and his legs were like, were I think it was like paralyzed. So they put him in like the body of like this cloned, like him, but it was bigger. So I can't remember the name of the movie, but anyway, they've showed that his consciousness was going into this clone, basically clone of him. And he was able to move and run around and do everything that he could, fully conscious within this being. And then they were kind of concerned that, he might get stuck there. So yeah, there's definitely a possibility. I think they do, put that out there, and they try and, telegraph some of this stuff to us. I think that Steven Spielberg, I think it was a Steven Spielberg movie. He has said that he was going to make more of those movies. Hopefully I'll think of it in a second. But once he came out with that movie, he's never been able to release another movie like that. And I think the reason why is because he was too on target. He was revealing too much information, and they had to back him off. So that's definitely something that we see this stuff in movies. They reveal this stuff to us in different ways. we're seeing, like here in the U.S., we're seeing this Gabby Petito, where she was killed, a young lady that looks like she was killed by her boyfriend in Utah, and she was missing, and they finally found her remains, and they just, I think yesterday had her ceremony for her funeral. But her boyfriend is like missing, so they've been focused on this for like weeks now. And how many people go missing all over the world every day? Like probably hundreds. But why would they focus on this one? And it has a lot of parallels that we're starting to see with some of the other little incidents that they played with our consciousness with before. And they like to, they telegraph to themselves, to their buddies. Look, we're playing with them. We're playing with them again. And they're also sending messages, I believe, in this, when they play these games.
Absolutely. It goes to show that if this is happening, it explains the reason why these celebrities and some politicians, they don't look like they're there. It's like as if you're looking through their eyes, but there's no soul, there's no empathy, there's no sympathy.
Yeah, definitely. And I think a lot of the reason why that is because there is nothing there. There's like a demon there. So
absolutely,
these guys, that I've seen demons on people for many years, and I used to go after terrorists. I would go look at them, through my consciousnness, and if I saw a demon on them, that I just send them low vibrational energy. And eventually that weakened them, they became vulnerable, and then, they get taken out. So I think that, some of these people that we're seeing, because they're so evil, that's one of the things that people have a hard time with. You look through the lens of your own consciousness, and you're good, moral, outstanding, pillar in your community. You can't imagine, murdering somebody. Mm-hmm. But these guys, that's all they think about. They think about how many people can I murder, and how can I make this murder like the most vicious, ugly thing that's possible. Because these are psychopaths, and they're, demonically possessed, many of them. And that's what a lot of the terrorists that I used to work trying to take down, and did take down quite a few of them, actually. That's the way they were. They killed massive amounts of people in horrible ways, blowing them up, and, women and children and men in marketplaces and so forth. So when you see that level of demonic possession, and a lot of people say, "Oh, that's impossible that someone could be like that." I've seen it firsthand. I've seen their works, and I can even I haven't been exposed to it. I can touch on that. But even I can't see the depths of how evil they are, because I'm just not going to go there, And I think that's the way a lot of people are. They're just not going to go there,
Sure.
I go there because I have to go and take these people, or I had to take these people out. So I had to know them on a certain level and get fired up about taking them out. But most people just aren't going to go there.
Absolutely. Michael, you're a man of experience. Can you tell us what is the most evil thing that you've seen within the establishment in your whole life? What would you say the most evil thing that you have seen?
What we're seeing right now. So even though this person, Joe Biden, is a puppet, as we have figured out, his administration. So you look at his administration, this is the most evil administration that has ever existed on this planet, I believe. So they have reached a pinnacle of evil with these guys, the bringing, people across the border. Now I had Victor Avila, who's wrote a book about his experiences as a Border Patrol agent. His partner was killed, and he was wounded. He was shot a couple of times and survived it, wrote a book about it. He just recently was down on the border. He was talking about how, they're trafficking hundreds of thousands of women and children for prostitution. So he talked about just one instance. So think about that. Hundreds of thousands are coming across the border. So we should be in uproar if we just find out one.
Mhm.
hundreds of thousands. So he talked about, and he says this too. He's been saying, I had him on my show like over a year ago, and he was talking about this. He says it's going to get worse. I'm like, there's no way it's going to get worse. And here it is. It's like, it's over the top. So he said that just one example that he gave was a 12-year-old, we could say girl, but she was basically having sex with a man who married her, and and she had a very traumatic, relationship with her family, rape within her family and trauma and stuff like that. So this particular man came along, and she thought that, he was the love of her life, came to rescue her. 3 months of, a beautiful relationship, and then he turns her into a prostitute. So she was able to, as a 12-year-old, she was, and this is one of millions of people that are being, trafficked and prostituted and so forth. And probably, as we know, a lot more horrific things, as we know, these guys are horrible, psychopathic, demonic people. So, child sacrifice and, adrenochrome and all this kind of stuff. This is the name of the game for these people. And they're just having a great old time, letting all these people come. So this is just one avenue that they're bringing people across the border and doing this stuff. Now, that other thing that we have talked about, quite a bit is this, the shot that everyone's getting. The shot is obviously a horrific shot. And, it is not to help people. How could you take a vaccine, which is supposed to boost your immunity, and still get sick? Sick people are getting sick. Almost everyone that's getting the shot is getting sick. You look at Israel, the numbers are like staggering, and they keep doing booster shots. Basically, that's reducing people's, ability to resist. Their immune system is being shut down, is being compromised. So that's what's happening with the shot. So there's another thing. I mean, we could go on and on and on, but yes, this group that's in power right now. And I always thought that, I was supposed to protect America from foreign, enemies. But we always said foreign and domestic enemies. And I think that, the domestic enemies among us are the most horrific that's ever been. And then let's look at Afghanistan. So these guys are all about making money. So Afghanistan, they were pulling in drugs from Afghanistan. I saw this when I was there. I saw another side of the CIA working to control the drug trade there. So they basically took it over from the Taliban. So the Russians were doing it, then the Taliban were doing it, and then we came in and started doing it. So I don't know if they made a deal or what happened there, but the opium epidemic here in America just went through the roof. Where's opium come from? It comes from Afghanistan. So that coincided with our saving the Afghans from the Taliban. Mm-hmm. So he just allowed it, after 20 years of working to supposedly, save us from terrorists. And we shipped $85 billion worth of equipment there, probably a lot more than that over the years. But we left $85 billion. And the people that, make a profit on that, they don't care. So this administration, Joe Biden and his administration, they're all part of this game, and that's just three things we can look at real quick. And I could go into detail about more and more and more. Like, let me just throw this real quick out there. The military having to get this, vaccine. So a lot, probably almost half of the Navy SEALs that, where I used to work, are saying they're not going to get the vaccine. So what's going to happen? They're going to get kicked out. So he's saying they should be dishonorably discharged, be court-martialed, blah, blah, blah. Is that going to happen to them? Maybe, but that's just a Navy SEAL. So you take away half of your Navy SEAL fighting force, and the special forces are basically the backbone of the military right now. They're the ones that do most of the work now. Everything's designed to promote special warfare, because the days of big military coming in and blowing everything up and bombing hell at everything is gone. It's surgical now. And that's what the special forces guys are all about. All of the special forces there in UK, everywhere that I've worked with the special forces guys, that's what we focus on: surgical, taking out an enemy. So that's where the world has gone. So you're going to take out virtually half of that ability to, fight your wars. And that's just the Navy SEAL teams. So now let's look at all your special aircraft, like we were just talking about, those B-1 bombers, those, B-2 bombers, all those special aircraft. It takes, for me, it took, I had millions of dollars of training over my 24-year career, millions of dollars of training. And a lot of those pilots have similar training. They're walking away. So you're seeing a massive, it's going to be like a default of the military. And you're seeing the same thing in hospitals. In New York, they're saying, we're going to have to bring in the National Guard to help our hospitals because all the people we're mandating to get vaccines, the doctors and the nurses, are walking away. So this is unbelievable, evil on a level that we have never seen before. I mean, we look at, Nazi Germany, and these guys pale in comparison because a lot of those guys actually came here. So that's what we're looking at right now. So Operation Paperclip brought, thousands and thousands of Nazis here. Thank you, the Bush family.
Absolutely. It's so corrupt. The draining of the swamp is absolutely huge. And Trump is absolutely very aware of this. And that's why he made January anti-human sex trafficking month to spread that awareness as well. So did you find anything interesting that Trump said when we're speaking about comms of the rally recently? And one of the things that I really liked was he's very persistent about taking back the House. Is there anything that grabbed your attention that you thought, wow, that's good?
Well, he did mention, a lot about the election steal and who was responsible for that. I think that's huge going forward. That's what brings him back. So obviously I thought for a long time they were just going to say, yeah, you guys stole the election, just come back in. But now we're seeing that they're going to do, due diligence and bring it out through the court system. But the court system is not going to, benefit them. I think that's at some point they're going to reveal that no matter what they do, these guys are going to and have to control everything and control their power. Now, I've been talking about how the media and social media has to be flipped. So, like the show that we're doing right now, we're influencing, helping people to see, the truth. We're truthers. We bring out this information. People, love this information. They look at the mainstream media. I look at the mainstream media and I look at it occasionally just to see where everything's at. And I just it hurts me. Literally, it hurts me to watch it. So the programming is intense. The people that are watching that for any length of time, whoa, man, I can't believe the consciousness that must be happening within those people. So I've said that, like social media, Facebook, so forth, they've controlled everything. They made this election go the way it is. And there's an IT guy that has worked behind the scenes that has told me about all this and has really good books on it. So I'm like, wow, I had no idea, because I've heard, people going on, before Congress and saying that the social media giants are going to steal the next election. They've already said it. And I was like, what, how are they going to do that? They're going to say, Trump's bad. And well, yeah. So once you control the narrative, then you control consciousness and you control everything that fits that narrative. Like the justice system. The justice system is not going to go against the narrative. The politicians are not going to go against the narrative. Media is not going to go against the narrative. So we have to take back the narrative like you and I are working hard to do. And a lot of other people are working hard to do. So we have to take the narrative back. We have to get enough people on board to see that this is an evil, corrupt administration that's in, and pretty much throughout the world, just about every government that's out there right now. I can't imagine there's any government that's not corrupt at this point, and has to be turned around or has to have, key people taken out before good people can come up. So once we get enough people seeing that, which I think we're so close to that, then it flips. And we're seeing in Australia how they're really fighting back against police. They're literally fighting the police now in Australia. So now we're starting to see, because this is the way it works. They push the social media and the mainstream media lie as far, and the liars within that system keep pushing those lies until they can't push them far enough to keep enough people under wraps. So when you start to have enough people waking up, then you have to put boots on the ground. So when the jackboots come on the ground, then you see your enemy. So that's your enemy. Now, who ordered the jackboots on the ground? That should be the next group that gets taken down. So the jackboots have to be taken down. They're an enemy now when they start banging heads on people that are peacefully protesting like they were in Australia and like they have been in other places. So when you start to see that and you start to push back on that, they're going to come out harder. So they're going to, I just saw one video where the Australians were like kicking the heck out. The police were like running from them, jumping in the cars and flying out of there. And I was like, whoa, this is going to get hot. And sure enough, they came out with helicopters. They came out with weapons, guns. So it's on the next level now. So we're going to start to see some shooting, I think, happen in Australia.
What do you think we're all about to see that we should be looking forward to in the next couple of months? What do you suggest?
Yeah. So what I'm seeing, what I'm telling people, and what other people, I like started to say this maybe a little over a week ago. I was like, it's time to like push back, physically push back on people that are outright evil, like we're seeing in Australia, the police and the way they've been locked down in Australia. So people are tired of it. They're starting to, wake up to it, and they're starting to push back, and they're getting their heads busted open, pepper sprayed and all that. So you push back harder on that. So you have to continually push back. So that's what we're going to see all over the world. And we're starting to see that. We're starting to see that, places like France, obviously Australia. So the pushback is going to reach another level, and then it reaches another level again. It doesn't have to be one group. Like, let's say everybody says, Mike, you're in charge. And there's no way I can control everyone in the United States. I can't tell everybody, okay, you're going to do this, because you don't need that in a lot of areas in the United States. Here where I'm at in Florida and most of Texas, you're not going to need people to, step out in the streets and start to protest. There's nothing to protest about. It's fantastic. So, but there's other areas where you're going to see that. I think in some of those areas, you're going to start to see people being taken to detention centers. All right. So everybody's like super scared of that. You're going to start to see that in Australia, and you're going to start to see that in other places, probably in certain cities or states in America that are very corrupt. So these are the things we're going to start to see. So who's going to rescue those people? Who's going to help those people? It could be people in surrounding areas, gather together and then start to push back on that. So it's not going to be a civil war type situation. It's going to be very similar to, I believe, the way the American Civil War or Revolutionary War started. There's pockets of areas where there's fighting. And that's the way it was throughout really the Revolutionary War. There were pockets of fighting where men would get together and then push back on, corruption, and eventually they would win. Because even at Yorktown, when the British surrendered at Yorktown, that was supposedly the end of the war. If you went down to New Orleans a month later, there was still fighting down there. Andrew Jackson was still fighting the British. They had surrounded New Orleans and was still fighting them. So these pockets of resistance, people think that, okay, Trump comes back and then everything's hunky dory. No, there's going to be states, I guarantee you, that are still going to resist, because we saw resistance from states when Trump was in office. And then we had states that were like, oh yeah, we got somebody good in there, and we're going to like kick some butt. But there were some states like California, New York, and some other not Missouri, I want to say. Anyway, there's other states that were very resistant and actually came out against President Trump in a lot of different ways. and you had the FBI was against Trump, doing surveillance on Trump and taking down some of his people. So you're going to have, Trump comes back at some point, but you're still going to have resistance. That resistance, has to be overcome, and there will be, like we're talking about, probably like in Canada, I see going forward, if they're not already started, they might have already started in Canada, quarantine centers. And I've heard they do quarantine in a lot of different places, like in Australia and Canada, where you come back from, visiting somewhere, you still have to go through 2 weeks of isolation. You have to pay for it and everything. So they're already making people comfortable with the quarantining. So at some point they're going to go, all right, you people haven't gotten your vaccination, so we're going to quarantine you. So that's going to start to happen here, I believe. That's the next step that they're going to start to push. So that's definitely something to look forward to.
Sure, very absolutely. So how long more do you think this vaccine narrative is going to continue?
Yeah, it's going to. Now, there's some people that have called out the vaccine right from the beginning. Like I would say I was pretty close, but I was kind of fooled in the beginning. I thought, from my background, as a Navy SEAL and CIA, having studied bioweapons, for a good part of my career, almost 35 years, that this was a real deal. And it is, as we know, a bioweapon. But I thought it was more deadly because we saw people falling down in the streets in China. That was all, theatrics, as we're starting to find out now. So it's not that much deadly as a flu. But the thing that is deadly is the vaccination. So the vaccination I think at this point has probably killed more people than the actual Wu flu, because they hyperinflated those numbers incorrectly, and as we found out, and they also suppressed the which I think is one of the things going forward that's going to be revealed that's really going to take a lot of these people down. There's definitely things that you can do: ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, high doses of vitamin D, C, and lots of other things that you can do, to help once you get sick. There's also, it's not only a preventative, but once you do get sick, you can take these and they help, heal you. Mm-hmm. Whereas you go to the hospital, they refuse to give you ivermectin. And there's been court orders of people that were hospitals that were told, this person, you will give them ivermectin, and they refused, and that person died. So there's a lot of that going on right now, even in places where you wouldn't think that would happen. Like I saw one in Houston, Texas, where a former veteran, there was a judge that basically ordered this hospital to give this veteran ivermectin, and they refused, and the veteran died. So this is going on all over the place. So I think that this continues for quite some time. And there's been people that have said that they're going to come out with a more virulent one that's going to be even more deadly, because the Wu flu was just like everything else. They try something out. So we saw all these different viruses that were coming out over the years. They didn't get much traction with them. They've got obviously a lot of traction with this one. So to think that they don't have something even more deadly up their sleeve it's not good. Now, I think there's a possibility that it might come out. I don't think it is. I don't see it anywhere right now. When I look at it as an intuitive remote viewing, I know people are talking about it, mm-hmm. but I don't see it coming out. I think that there's a possibility that it might come out. Now, we have talked about how Trump has said, we basically have them. There's been, supposedly an agreement signed with the deep state that, things are going to get turned over. We'll have to see about that. But it could be that, hey, we're not going to do any more of our ugly stuff. You just slowly take us down. We'll like walk into the background. I don't know what's going to happen with that. But for me, I don't think that they should be given a free pass. If they've done evil, they should pay for it. But we'll see.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much, Michael Jaco. It's been an absolute honor to have you. Is there anything else that you'd like to say to the viewers before we finish?
Yeah, the higher consciousness realms are how we defeat these guys. Stay in that love vibration. It gives you the information that you will need to survive and thrive going forward.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very, very much and happy birthday. And we'll speak again very soon. God bless you.
Yeah. Great job on the new show. It looks beautiful.
Thank you. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.